What is the legislative branch? By James Bowe. The three branches. In the United States, the government makes the laws. It decides what taxes you pay and how much money your school gets. It also chooses whether our country goes to war during times of conflict. It is a big job. Many people work in the government. Most people know who the president is. They know less about who works with the president to run the country. The United States government is split into three parts. The president, the people who work for the president, form the executive branch. They make the laws work. The judges of the Supreme Court are part of the judicial branch. They decide what the laws mean. Barack Obama is our 44th president. The legislative branch of the government is called Congress. It makes the laws. Lawmakers decide what rules or laws would be helpful to the country. They put their ideas about helpful rules in bills. Lawmakers talk about these bills and then they vote on whether the bills should become law. The legislative branch meets in the Capitol in Washington, D.C. What do you think? What are the three branches of the U.S. government? Do you think any branch is more important than the others, and why? The legislative branch. Congress is made up of 535 lawmakers. Each lawmaker has a seat or a place in Congress. The House of Representatives and the Senate make up Congress. They suggest the laws and vote on them. The House of Representatives is not a real house. Instead, the House describes the group that works together to make the laws. The House and the Senate both meet in the Capitol in Washington, D.C. The rotunda is a large, round room in the center of the Capitol. But who are these people? Why are they there? The United States is a democracy. Therefore, representatives of the House and the Senate are elected to office by voters on election day. In a democracy, the people decide what the government should do, but we do not have time to make all the decisions, so we choose lawmakers to act for us. This process is called representative democracy. Most people vote on election day, others vote earlier. Together, they decide who gets to go to Congress. House of Representatives. With 435 lawmakers, the House of Representatives is the biggest part of Congress. Each representative is from a district somewhere in the United States. About 700,000 people live in each district. Sometimes the district is part of a city, but sometimes it is a whole state. No matter where you live, someone represents you in the House. Members of the House are known as congressmen or congresswomen. They are elected to serve for 2 years. Then they have to be elected again. They meet, talk, and vote to make or change the laws that govern the United States. Members do this by introducing bills. Before a bill becomes a law, it has to be passed by the House and the Senate. Then the President must sign it. Representatives meet in the House chamber to make laws and vote on them. Voting on bills is an most important job of Congress, but the House has some powers that the Senate does not have. For example, only the House can introduce bills that raise taxes. The bills that representatives vote can be huge. Speaker of the House. The House of Representatives picks the Speaker of the House. The Speaker usually the leader of a political party that has the most seats in the House. The Speaker of the House is the most powerful position in Congress. The Speaker is in charge of the House. He or she presides over meetings or sessions. The Speaker sets the agenda. This means that they decide which bills to be debated and voted on. In many ways, the Speaker shapes the laws of the country more than the President. In 2010, John Boehner became Speaker of the House. The Speaker can schedule his or her party bills to make sure they get most attention. This is partly what makes the Speaker's job such a powerful one. The Speaker follows the Vice President in line of command. Imagine that the President dies and cannot do his or her job, then the Vice President takes over the position. If the Vice President cannot carry out the job, then the Speaker of the House will become President. Nancy Pelosi was the first female Speaker of the House. What do you think? Why is the Speaker of the House so powerful? The Senate. The Senate is the smaller part of Congress. Just 100 lawmakers work in the Senate. Each state sends 2 senators to Washington, D.C. Senators serve 6-year terms. Every 2 years, 1/3 of the Senate seats are up for election. Senate elections are staggered. A state never votes for both of its senators at the same time. The Senate's main job is the same as the House's. Senators talk about and vote on bills that might become new laws. Like the House, the Senate has its own special duties. For example, President chooses people to help run the government. These people include judges on the Supreme Court and other courts. The Senate must approve of these people. The Senate meets in the Senate chamber in the Capitol. Senators say the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of each meeting. What do you think? How long can a senator be part of the Senate? 3 people were elected president while they were still senators: William Harding, John F. Kennedy, and Barack Obama. President pro tempore. The Vice President is in charge of the Senate. When the Vice President is away, senators pick their own leader. The leader is called the President pro tempore. Pro tempore means for now. The President pro tempore is like the Senator or Speaker of the House, but it is not as powerful. Sometimes the Senate vote for a bill is tied. Then the Vice President makes the deciding vote. The President pro tempore cannot break a tie, however. If the Vice President is away, the bill is defeated, meaning it is no longer up for consideration and is officially dead. Patrick Leahy became the President pro tempore in the Senate on December 17, 2012. The President pro tempore is not as powerful as a position as the Speaker of the House, but it is respected. He or she follows after the vice president and the Speaker of the House in line of command to be president. Robert Byrd was the senator from 1959 to 2010. He became the president pro tempore in 1989. Byrd was the longest serving senator in the U.S. Congress. Majority and minority. Who is in charge of the House and the Senate? It depends on which political party holds the most seats. It sounds like a game of musical chairs, but it is serious business. The political party is a group of people who share the same ideas about how to run the country. There have been many parties in the U.S. history. Right now, power is split between the Republicans and the Democrats. Most senators and representatives belong to one party or the other. The party with the most members in the House or the Senate is the majority party. The other party is the minority party. The Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid, listens with the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. The majority and minority leaders led their parties in House and Senate. The majority party has more power. If all its members vote the same way, it has the most votes. Members of the majority party picks leaders in both the House and Senate to speak on their behalf. The minority party also picks leaders in both the House and Senate. The minority party often works against the majority. It sometimes tries to block the bills that the majority party tries to pass. Political parties hold conventions before Election Day. They pick the people that they want to run the country. Then voters around the country make their choice. What do you think? How many seats must a party hold to have a majority in the Senate? How many seats in the House? Why two houses? Why do House representatives and senators sit in two different houses? Why are they elected for different terms? The House and the Senate look at laws in different ways. Each has different duties. The short term of the representatives means many members are new and eager. The senators serve longer terms and have more experience. These differences help the two houses balance each other. The House of Representatives treats all Americans equally. The Senate treats every state equally. This way, big states do not have more power than smaller ones. Each year, the president speaks to both the House and the Senate at the same time during the State of the Union address. These differences mean that the House and the Senate sometimes disagree. Bills cannot become law if the two do not work together. The two houses sometimes have to negotiate with each other to get work done. Once bills are passed by the House and the Senate, the President signs them into law. In their own words, the Congress should assemble at least once in every year. The U.S. Constitution, Article 1. The whips. Majority party often can only pass their bills if all of their members vote the same way. Minority parties are only powerful when their members agree with each other. To make sure this happens, both parties have whips. These are not real whips, but powerful people. They make sure that lawmakers vote with the party on bills. Sometimes lawmakers do not vote the way the whip tells them to. If this happens, they can be punished. Sometimes the lawmakers lose their power in the party, or they can even get kicked out of the party. House or Senate members sometimes disagree with their party position on a bill. The bill might not be good for the lawmaker's district. The lawmaker's decision to vote yes or no can be very difficult. Representatives sometimes have to choose between their votes and their party. What do you think? Why is it important that members of the party vote the same way? Debating and voting. Lawmakers make laws by introducing bills to the floor of the House or the Senate. Lawmakers spend a lot of time talking about their bills. They tell other lawmakers why each bill should and should not be passed. This is called a debate. The House and the Senate have their own rules about how long lawmakers can talk about a bill. The House, having more members, keeps talking time short. The majority of representatives can vote to stop talking or start voting. In the Senate, 60 senators have to vote to stop a debate from happening. Bills that pass through one house must go to the other. They face the same process. Once approved, the bill is sent to the president. He or she must sign it and make it a law. Making a bill into a law takes a lot of talking and a lot of paperwork. One senator can affect the vote with a filibuster. A filibuster is when a senator or a group of senators can talk about a bill as long as they choose. This delays the voting on a bill. To end the filibuster, 60 out of 100 senators must vote to stop it. Otherwise, the filibuster goes on. Senator Bernie Sanders spoke for 8 hours straight for his filibuster against a Senate bill. The longest filibuster was 24 hours and 18 minutes. Committee hearings. Once a lawmaker proposes a bill, it usually goes to a committee. These committees are made up of lawmakers from the minority and majority parties. The majority party always holds the most votes on a committee. In a committee, people look at how the bill should be worded. Lawmakers bring in experts to speak about the bill. They talk about the impact of the bill and whether it would be good for the country. House and Senate committees meet in special rooms in the Capitol. Committee hearings are treated like court of law. Witnesses must promise to tell the truth. Sometimes witnesses do not show up or they lie. As punishment, they can be fined up to $1,000 or put in jail for up to 1 year. Committees suggest changes to bills. They decide whether it can go back to the House or the Senate for a vote. Sometimes bills die in committee. This happens when committees take too long to look at a bill. The bill then has to be presented again to Congress. Before she joined the Supreme Court, Judge Sonia Sotomayor had appear before a committee. How does the majority party control committees? The president's veto. Once a bill passes both House the president must sign it into law. The president can veto a bill. Veto is Latin for I forbid. Something that the president believes the bill is badly written, or the president may disagree with Congress on what bills are good for the country. A vetoed bill goes back to Congress. To defeat the veto, the House and the Senate must pass the bill again. This time, 2/3 of all representatives and senators must support the bill. President Obama vetoed 2 bills in his first term in office. This was not support from 2/3 of Congress, so the bills should not be passed again. Representatives are elected every 2 years. The president is elected every 4 years. Senators are elected every 6 years. Because of this, the relationship of the House, the Senate, and the president can change. This can lead to arguments as the 2 houses and the president all try to run the country. President Franklin D. Roosevelt voted more than 600 bills. That was more vetoes than any other president. He was elected to office 4 times. Blocking bills. Sometimes Congress and the president disagree. An argument can affect whole country. Congress passes bills, but the president signs them into law. If the two do not work together, bills do not get passed. Laws do not get made, and government work can stop. There are limits to what the government can do. It cannot keep spending without a budget. A budget is a plan of how money will be earned and spent. Without a bill that allows spending, many government services would shut down. Sometimes the value of stocks on Wall Street fall when Congress and the president do not work together. In their own words, Congress shall have power to collect taxes, to pay debts, and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. In 1995 and 1996, Congress and President Bill Clinton argued over how the government should run. They could not pass a budget. The government shut down. Every part of the United States was affected. Government workers were not paid. National parks and museums closed. These arguments could end when both sides talk to each other in order to reach an agreement. Sometimes a compromise needs to happen. This is where they each give up part of their demand so the outcome is acceptable to both sides. Sometimes the people have taken action to themselves to get things done. In 1963, more than 200,000 people marched in Washington, D.C. They wanted Congress to pass laws protecting equal rights for all Americans. Other governments. The U.S. governments are like governments in other countries. The House of Representatives is like the British House of Commons. Both are elected by people in districts and both make laws. The Senate is like the British House of Lords. Both vote on bills passed to them by the House. The President is like the Queen or King of Great Britain. Both sign bills into law. The President has more power than the Queen of Great Britain. Canada has a House of Commons and a Senate. The 301 members of the House of Commons are elected. The Senate has 105 members, like the United States. Australia has a House of Representatives and a Senate. All members are elected. The U.S. government looks at laws carefully before they affect Americans. This can lead to delays or fights, but it is better than having no elected officials at all. The American people need to make sure that the best people are elected to Congress. Proper elections make sure the lawmakers make the best laws to serve their country. Most people age 18 or older can and should vote. Discussion questions. Lawmakers vote on bills that affect many people in both their district and the entire country. Discuss the different kind of factors that can influence a lawmaker's vote. Many people around the world feel the right to vote is one of the most important rights a person can have. Why do you think it is important for citizens to be able to vote?